Welcome, lovely souls. How are you doing? Just following on from my video yesterday, which was all about take charge and reclaim your sovereignty and authenticity and your authority, which was the Lord card, which I've got here. And it's following my channeling, my meditation that I was doing this morning, as I was awakening from sleep into theta wave, which is often where we're in that state of consciousness and connection, which we can access through meditation, but also when we're asleep. And it was showing me the scrolling of the phone. And as I was doing that, it was saying, I reclaim back my thoughts, I reclaim back my power. And what it was showing me is that this whole constant barrage of information is what is overwhelming us as humans, as individuals, because we are not designed to be in constant bombardment of this information. We would have lived in communities, in little tribes, and we wouldn't have been fed all the information that's going on about all the world, which has a huge filter of fear attached to it. It's always rendering us feeling helpless and hopeless. It's always encouraging separation and fear and division, because ultimately, if we're separated, we're easier to control. That was the thoughts and process of Hitler himself, is divide and rule. Okay, so we need to be really mindful that this is happening. And what it showed me, what did I write here? Our mental energy is being farmed. Okay, our mental energy is being farmed. What does that mean? Well, what it gave me was the vision of the Matrix, you know, when they've got the old attachment at the back of the neck, and through buying in this visualization of life, the Matrix, our energy and our emotional responses that were feeding with this electric currency to wherever it was going. I can't really remember the whole movie myself. But what it showed me is that we're constantly being shown fear and separation and everything about the whole big wide world, which our brains cannot compute. They're not meant to, because we're community-led humans and contact. And it was basically, it's a way of controlling people. If you imagine your mental energy is just constantly being triggered, you're pouring that out through thoughts. You're also emotionally connected to that, which is a lot of time is fear, which if it can be anger, because if you're triggered, the wound's there. And that is really coming into our subconscious. I mean, this is what happened in COVID. They played the psycho warfare of total confusion and fear. And then you get that into the brain, you're being controlled. That is what happens. That's what happened. And our systems are still going through this, our subconscious programming. And we are basically overwhelmed. We're burnt out. We're miserable, you know, and exhausted. And what else was I saying? It's basically we need to reclaim back our mental energy. We need to be discerning of where we're giving that and where we're putting it or giving it to. And if we're scrolling because we're seeking that dopamine hit because we're miserable already, but we're getting that fix from the hit that's just creating an addiction, we're on this slippery slope. And because we're not living in a life that's filled with joy, so we're seeking it elsewhere. Whereas actually joy is in us. It's already there. We need to remember it and connect to it. But it's very hard when we feel like we've got this very fear-based, chaotic world going on around us. So how we navigate this, how we claim back our authority, how we claim back our sovereignty is really through being conscious of our thoughts. And when we have our thoughts, we can sit with them and go, okay, is this alignment to my desires? Is this alignment to love, joy, and peace? Is this an old wound that's coming up? Is this my truth? And I can tell you, if your truth isn't feeling like it's lovely and it's good, then it isn't your truth. That's your illusion, but your programmed generational trauma that has you believe that it is, because it's experienced, therefore you think it's the truth, but it isn't. Our real truth, our real sovereignty as a soul is love, joy, and peace, light. Okay, what we're going through is a complete disembodiment of all that old patterning that has us believe that we're not. And a lot of our infrastructures all set up on fear and separation, and they are falling away. And our nervous systems are going, what the fuck? Because this is what my survival safety is based on, yet it's falling away. So our nervous systems, especially if you have had childhood abuse and trauma, will be feeling really much more dysregulated if you haven't been doing the work of finding your inner safety, to finding your inner counsel and connection, and have become reliant on other things to help us feel safe. I mean, if you've had that good foundation as a childhood, you might not experience it as much, but you'd have had trauma at some point. We all have our elements of trauma in some degree. And that will be coming up. But I will say to you, if, like I say, childhood trauma has been your experience, you'll probably be feeling this a lot deeper unless you've done that work of finding safety in yourself, okay, and through embodiment and connection to your heart. This is the work that I do. So our nervous systems that are so attached to these fake infrastructures, these systems that aren't real, and that actually our truth is nature, and it's nature that's like a tectonic plate of separation. It's releasing this old low vibrational behaviors, and like a plaque that humanity has put on Earth. And Earth is like dismantling this, is like uprooting. There's this huge energy that's coming up that is the truth fountain. It's like no longer being suppressed. It's the rise of the feminine, the Persephone of Greek mythology. It's rising up, and it's not going to stop. So we need to allow ourselves to move into that, which can feel rather chaotic. But if you can find the eye of the storm within you, then you can see more objectively that this isn't true. It's just a matter of uprooting. It's serving its purpose, and it will pass. But it's about that connection, allowing your nervous system to be able to shift to this higher vibration that is love, that is joy, that is peace, that is connection to nature. So the first thing I'd say, get out into nature without doubt. Get your feet on the ground, feed your body with those free electrons, and start remembering, and eat properly. Okay, sugar, caffeine, alcohol, shit. And especially heavy metals, glyphosate in our guts and everything else is taking us away, separating us from nature, our wisdom, our intellect. The more sterile we are, the more disconnected our guts are. And this is where our wisdom is and where our connection is. So we really need to be looking at our health and what we're eating and our environment that we're in, and really start looking at these factors as too. There's a lot to consider. So I'll try and just bring it in for you. So first of all, get into nature. Start purifying, start detoxing, and create space for yourself. Because when we're subconsciously overloaded, we're constantly running in our subconscious. It's like 98% of our thoughts and actions anyway. So we need to create conscious time to connect into the subconscious and see what's going on in there, okay? The wounds, the patterns, the belief systems, because there's some clashing of planets right now, supposedly. I think it's Pluto and Mars, which is anger and furious all together. So if you're having relationship issues and experiencing triggering and wounds, unless we're conscious, we just fall straight back into being wounded and acting back in our wounds. And then we just continue that cycle of woundedness until we can create space and sit back and go, okay, I'm triggered here. Thanks. You could even go down the line of going, thank you for showing me this opportunity of how I can come from a highest perspective. What's the learning here? Where's the inner wisdom? Where's the gold? Where's this point of really knowing and know myself from this moment? And you know, that can be really hard when someone's really fucked you off, okay? Because it's a very deep rooted wound that's sitting in your system. And I felt it this the other day. It was like a kick in the gut. And it's sitting and go, well, what is that? Because I know this is moving through me to release me so I can feel better. I can feel more experience of joy and love and peace. And as much as it's torrid when you're in it, but when you can go, well, I'm not staying in it, and I'm not staying in the energy of it, and I'm not going to be the victim, and I'm not going to carry on this, I actually want to shift and move this through, you can start seeing the higher perspective. Oh, this is my inner child. She wants to be seen. She wants to be heard. She wants to be valued. She wants to be loved. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll do that. And literally within the next day or so, you just feel this sense of, more joy, more curiosity, more excitement about the world and the next day or what's going to happen. It just enables something to come off you, the restriction and that's in contraction that's in your body, because when you're triggered, you do contract. So it's about giving your heart that space and go, okay, we're holding this contraction. We're in this with compassion. We're in this with love. Okay, what is it? Let's be curious. Let's understand. Let's grow. And then it can move through you, especially when you can write it down, when you give it a voice. Don't necessarily have to speak to somebody, just speak to yourself, write it down. And then you can start hearing it and giving it value and understanding your feelings have worth and that you are worthy, or whatever it is that needs to come through. If it's a shitload of anger, write it down, burn it, okay? These are really good practices of enabling you to be able to move this through. And the really interesting thing that I wanted to just read out was what came through was Atlas of the Heart. So I picked up this book, Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. She's absolutely amazing. And hubris, hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly, but hubris is an inflated sense of one's own innate abilities that is tied more to the need for dominance than to actual accomplishments. It is a negatively correlated with self-esteem and positively correlated with narcissism and shame proneness. In simpler terms, the higher the hubris, the lower the self-esteem. And the higher the hubris, the higher the narcissism and shame proneness. You'll probably know what I'm talking about in a minute when I'm reading this out, but this is what's being shown to process, okay? Dominance, so this could be coming through the whole attempt of control or the perception of attempt of control. So dominance, which is the type of status that is coerced through aggression or intimidation, plays a significant role in hubris. Researchers write, hubristic pride may have evolved to motivate behaviors, thoughts, and feelings orientated toward attaining dominance, whereas authentic pride may have evolved to motivate behaviors, thoughts, and feelings orientated towards attaining prestige. It's helpful to know that in the research, prestige status is earned. Prestige-based leaders are admired for their skills or knowledge as distinct from dominance status, which is obtained by force. To those of us observing hubris, it looks and feels terrible. However, to the person experiencing hubris, it feels good. They puff up and feel blustery and superior. Furthermore, the person experiencing hubris doesn't really care what we think. Research has found that hubris can increase levels of dominance and interest in e-dominance. Increases levels of dominance, and interest in e-dominance does not require respect or social acceptance. So when you watch someone doing something out of sheer hubris and think to yourself, don't they see how badly this is being received? remember, it doesn't need to be received well for them to feel good about it. So I would feel that we're kind of going through and certainly seeing that. And whether it's extremely obvious, so what I would say toxic masculine, you can see it, and then dominance trying to come from a more from the around the subtle, manipulative, coercive way, which I would say was probably more the feminine toxicity. It's the more the unseen. So we hear a lot about toxic masculinity, but not so much about feminine toxicity, which is manipulative, which is coercive. If you give me this, I do this for you, you must do it for me. It's all this kind of energy, but from a bigger scale, it's more dominance through a coercive perspective. So yeah, we're seeing kind of both play out, which I wrote in this What If I Told You, as these two factors are seeking dominance, basically. But from you and what you can do, and to not feel helpless and hopeless, is to change the world from your own inner world. The more you can not react to wounds with your wounds and break the pattern and create compassion and understanding and greater insights and finding your inner peace, you will be creating a ripple effect for the world to experience. So when you're looking outside the world and feeling helpless, know that you're not, and then you change it from within you first, okay? If that makes sense. So the world, outer world will change when you change your inner world, and when you do it for you too. So the last one I'd like to leave you with, just a few affirmations, really. And you might want to put your hands on your heart, right over your left, because your left is the closest fascially to your heart. And take some breaths. Let yourself land. I feel like I've spoken really quickly. It's funny how I breathe, I'm still here. Oh, anyway, so you may repeat this out loud to yourself. Sometimes that's nice and stronger. I reclaim my mental energy. I embody discernment and healthy boundaries. I call back all thoughts, actions that are not aligned to love and then return them to love. I release, I am free from all toxic thought patterns, beliefs, wounds, and soul contracts. My body, my mind are my sovereignty. I choose the highest frequency of thoughts and actions. I choose love. I choose joy. I choose peace. And take some breaths again. And just allow that to work in the fabric of your mind and your body, giving that out, really proclaiming this. And you may need to repeat this several times. Normally saying it 3 times is a really good way of affirming the affirmation. So I'll read it out one more. I reclaim my mental energy. Get really feisty on that one. I'm reclaiming my mental energy. Okay, this is your energy, your sovereignty. You reclaim it. I reclaim my mental energy. I embody discernment and healthy boundaries. I call back all thoughts and actions that are not aligned to love and return them to love. I release, I am free from all toxic thought patterns, beliefs, wounds, and soul contracts. My mind, my body are my sovereignty. I choose the highest frequency of thoughts and actions. I choose love. I choose joy. I choose peace. And then just as you're feeling into that, just really call that into your body. Acknowledge it where you feel it in your body. And you may want to ask it, inquire whether it has a colour, whether it has a texture. Is it a shape? And just connect into that and know it's already within you, okay? And you may want to thank it for moving through you wherever it needs to go with the ease and grace. Whether it's something you need to embody deeper into your whole body, or if it's something that needs to be moved through you. And when you do that, just go and have some quiet time. Go for a walk, and just that walking and movement will naturally just move things through you. Okay, so lots of love, peeps. I'm with you on this one. So, and you're not alone, all right? So if you need that support, if you need guidance on this, then you know where I am. All right, lots of love.